Hi y'all, Elaine here. countryhomeandheart.net is my website, and today I'm going to be doing a very special recipe that was given to me some years ago by a very special lady, and I'll tell you more about that during the video. But right now I wanted to give you a quick update about Dixie, so hold on just a minute and I'm going to turn you around so we can see her. Okay, there she is. Let me get a little closer. There she is, sleeping under my piano. That's her favorite spot. She loves to lay underneath my piano. And she's doing very well. The surgery was Thursday, and today is Saturday. She is getting used to that bite collar, or the cone of shame. She's beginning to get used to that and be able to maneuver and get to places where she wants to go, because she wasn't able to get under the piano for a while. But she's under that piano just fine now. And she's doing great. She has had her breakfast. She's had her pain medication. That's why I think she's sleeping now. But it's hard to tell, because usually it is their morning nap time, as you can see by this guy right here. That's Jasper. And this little girl over here, that's Jada. So they are taking their naps. But there's little Miss Dixie, and she's doing very well now. So okay, well, I am going to meet you all in the kitchen, and we're going to get started on that sweet potato bread recipe. Okay, we're back in my kitchen, and I am ready to start this very special sweet potato bread. And other than being very delicious, I'll tell you why a little later in the video that it is so special. But before I do that, I wanted to thank all my new subscribers as well as my older subscribers for subscribing to my channel, and I want to welcome my new ones. And I also wanted to say thank you so much for all the wonderful comments that you've been posting, and I really appreciate the comments. I enjoy reading them, and I do try to read them and make sure that I make some kind of comment back to you. And also I wanted to tell you, if you're enjoying my videos and you haven't subscribed, please hit like and subscribe and the little message bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. And also, if you're enjoying these videos, please feel free to share them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started. Now, I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I also have greased and floured 2 loaf pans, and I also put parchment paper and greased and floured that in the bottom of them because we don't want this to stick. Okay, so let's turn you down. Okay, and so to make this sweet potato bread, what you're going to need is 3½ cups of all-purpose flour, and this has been sifted first and then measured for accuracy. Flour tends to pack down in the bag, and you can wind up using a lot more flour than you intend to use if you don't sift it first before you measure it. Okay, and we're also going to need 2 cups of mashed sweet potatoes. Now, I'm using canned, and I will show you. It's a large can. This is a 40-ounce can, and when you drain all the liquid off of that can and you measure these out, it works out perfectly to 2 cups. So, and that is the important thing. You do have to drain that before you use it. Don't just pour them in there. Okay. And it also takes 3 cups of sugar. I know that seems like a lot, but this makes 2 good-sized loaves. Possibly 3, depending on the size of your loaf pans. If you use larger loaf pans, you get 2. If you use smaller pans, you get 3. Okay, and it also calls for 3/4 cup of orange juice, 1 cup of oil. This is canola oil. You can use vegetable oil or whatever you have, as long as it's not a strong flavored oil of any kind. 4 large eggs. And it also calls for baking soda. This is baking soda and not baking powder, baking soda. And that's going to call for 1 teaspoon. It's going to call for 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And let's see, you're also going to need cinnamon, ground nutmeg, ground cloves, and ground allspice. And once you have all these ingredients, you have what you need to make a wonderful sweet potato bread. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'm going to move some of the stuff out of my way, as I won't need that till later on. Okay, and pull my mixer over a little bit. Okay, I'm going to bring you a little closer so you can see better. And see what I'm adding. Okay. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, and you just dump this in, is I'm going to add this 1 cup of canola oil. The sugar, I'm just going to kind of just pour that right in. And all 4 of the eggs. You don't have to worry about adding those one at a time. Okay, and lock that down. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of get this started. Okay, now we're going to cream this together until it gets good and smooth. So I will be back with you when I get that done. Okay, I'm back and I have this mixed together. And you can see how it looks at this point. It's still, you know, it's kind of a runny mixture, but my sugar is pretty much dissolved, and it's all very well incorporated. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to add my orange juice. It's 3/4 cup. And I'm going to go ahead and take this off because I don't really need the mixer on this particular part. And I'm going to dump in those sweet potatoes. Just like that. Scrape this. I want to make sure I get all those sweet potatoes out of there. Okay, it looks pretty good. Let me get that out of the sink. Okay, and I'm just going to stir this together to start it. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to remove this from the mixer. Push my mixer back out of the way. Okay. Bring the bowl over so you can see. Okay, and I'm just going to set this aside for a minute because now what I'm going to do is in this little measuring cup here, I'm going to go ahead and get my salt and my spices and my soda put in here and mixed in. So I'm going to start with the 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So here's 1, and there is 1/2. Okay, so we'll pour that right in. And I said earlier 1 teaspoon of baking soda is actually 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And remember, that's baking soda and not baking powder, baking soda. So there's our 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And if you get a little more, that's okay. It's not going to hurt a thing. Just depends on if you like cinnamon or not. And I happen to like it, so. Okay, and I'm going to switch over to a 1/2 teaspoon. And we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. And 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice. Okay, and I'm just going to take a fork and I'm going to start just mixing that together. You just want to get this incorporated and also get out as many lumps as you possibly can get out of it. Okay. Now I'm going to bring my sweet potato mixture back over. And I'm going to get a big spoon. And I'm going to start adding this just a little bit at a time. Okay, and start mixing this in. Now what makes this so special, I was going to tell you that story, is back when my children were little, it was probably more than 40 years ago, or roughly right at 40 years ago, my husband used to work with a lady, and her name was Mary, and every Christmas Mary would send him home with a nice loaf of this sweet potato bread. Now she made hers in 1-pound coffee cans, which I used to do too until you got to where you can't really find the coffee cans anymore. So I switched over to loaf pans when we couldn't find the coffee cans. But she would make this every single year and give this to us for Christmas. And it was so good that I asked my husband if he could get the recipe so I could make it. So he did. She gave me her recipe, and I've been making it ever since. Now the first few times I tried to make it, it was a failure. And I think the reason it failed was because, several things. One, I probably overmixed it because of not knowing any better. And 2, I probably added too much flour and it would come out a little bit on the dry side. But this comes out very moist and very dense. It just is a really good bread, and the great thing about it is it freezes really well. You can put this make this ahead of time, put it in the freezer, and give it out as Christmas gifts or whatever you want. In fact, these 2 loaves that I'm going to be making today are going to be packed away in the freezer. And I'll be sending those probably to Michigan and Illinois, where my children live, and sending them to them so that they'll have some Christmas. And I always do that every year. And the thing about it is when you freeze this, the little ice crystals in there form, and then as it thaws, they start melting, and when they do, they make this super, super moist. It's just very, very good. Okay, and I've almost got this mixed. This is like any other baked good. You do not want to overmix this. That's why I'm not doing this in the mixer, and I'm just doing this with my spatula and just very gently mixing this in. And, you do want to get all the flour dissolved. So I just keep kind of bringing it up from the bottom and folding it in, and then when I get it incorporated, I'll give it a nice little stir to make sure that I have all the flour dissolved. I hear her little, my Dixie, I hear her little cone of shame hitting the wall. She must be trying to maneuver somewhere. she's getting really good at that. It's considering that it's only been since Thursday that she had her surgery, and like I said, this is Saturday. So she's getting pretty good at maneuvering that cone of shame, but she hates it, and I don't blame her. It does not look like the most comfortable thing in the world, but unfortunately she has to have it or she'll be biting at those stitches and scratching at the ones that she can get to. She can't get to all of them, but she can get to enough of them to do some damage if we don't take care of her. So make sure that we do. Okay, this is just about there. I'm going to make sure that I have this mixed good. Okay. And there we have it. It looks like we have it mixed pretty well. Okay, so I'm going to move that aside. Loaf pans. Let me scrape that spatula off. Unless you don't. This is one of those you don't want to lose any of that batter because it is really, really good. Okay, and so start just pouring this in. And this is a 1 cup scoop that I use. I like to use this when I have chili or something. It's for dinner because it's I know exactly how much I'm putting in the bowls. So, and with this I know exactly how much I'm putting in each one of the loaf pans, so I can make sure that they come out even. Hey, what do you need? You okay?
Yeah, fine.
My husband decided to make a little bit of an appearance. If I could have turned the camera around, I would have let him say hi, but kind of in a position I can't turn the camera around just yet. I've had a lot of positive comments on some of the videos that do have him in it, so I'm going to start trying to feature him a little more if he will allow me to. Okay, and we'll put the last of this in. Okay, and there we go. And that is part of my daughter's Christmas presents for their families. And I'll have to make a couple more of these so I'll have enough. I like to keep a little extra around too for gifts for other people if I need something to give someone. Okay, so I am going to put these in the oven, and they will bake for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to start checking them in about 1 hour though, because like I said before, sometimes my oven goes a little bit fast. So we'll start checking these, and when they're done, I will be back with you. Okay, I'm back, and my sweet potato bread came out of the oven, and it took about 1 hour and 5 minutes in my oven to get done. So let me turn you down and let you see this. Okay, and they came out really nice. I can tell by the way they feel they're going to be good and moist. My edges did brown a little bit too much, but that's okay. That won't hurt a thing. So these are going to go in the freezer, and they're going to be Christmas gifts. So I'll be making some more, but I'm going to be including this in my holiday recipe playlist. And that's going to be, I'm going to be posting a lot of holiday recipes between now and Christmas in there, including one for my mother-in-law's fruit cake. It's an excellent fruit cake recipe, and everyone that does not like fruit cake seems to like it. So we're going to be doing that, and some various other things that I'm going to be doing. So, but that's what I did for today. So y'all have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and hang on just a minute. There's my little girl down there. She still hopes that I'll drop something, even though if I drop it here in the kitchen with that cone on, she's not going to be able to pick it up. So she definitely is not happy wearing that cone of shame, but hopefully she won't have to wear it. Well, she'll only have to wear it for a couple of weeks. The stitches are coming out in 2 weeks, so she'll be able to take it off then. So anyway, y'all have a nice rest of the weekend, and I do thank you for watching. See you next time.